right, we're going to go ahead and start with our post-race media availability for the Monster Energy All-Star Race, and we've now been joined by our third-place finisher, Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. And Jimmie, just give us a quick recap of your night, and especially those last final 10 laps.
Yeah, competitive night for us. When the race first started, maybe it seemed like there was a little less grip, and then as the sun continued to go down, the track picked up some grip. We never really ran long enough to try the high lane and make up any time on it, but I felt like the racing got better as the night went on. Our car was performing well. It was fun with the strategy and putting those softs on and knowing I could drive like a maniac for a handful of laps, and that put us in a good position in segment 2, and then we won segment 3. And then I really felt like we were in a great situation, even though I didn't have control of that final restart. I thought Brad would really be able to hold back that inside lane, and I would be able to at least clear him through the center of 1 and 2 on newer tires. One further, kind of expansion on that restart environment. You either want to be the leader or in the second row. The second place guy can't jump and is usually the one in the most vulnerable position. But the second row can roll up and have a few miles an hour behind them before they hit the gas and usually make something happen. So again, I was nervous when I saw that and saw that the 2 stayed out, but then I knew he'd take the inside on old tires. And I honestly felt like I was going to have it under control, but the 18 somehow got inside of the 2, and that was kind of it for us on the win.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Jimmie. Raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. We'll start up front with Jenna.
Jimmie, did any of it matter? Was whoever got the lead going to win the race with the clean air?
On equal tires, yeah. I think the green tire gave a large enough advantage for a short period of time to make something happen.
All right, Monty, go ahead.
Monty Dutton from yesterday. Is there a future, a practical future, for different optional tire compounds?
In my opinion, yes. We see it work in Formula One. We see it work in IndyCar. I think the garage area has, obviously it's pretty new, but a favorable opinion of how this went tonight. And I personally don't have a problem with trying it. Really don't. I think it's better than having a button that makes the wing go down or a button that gives you more horsepower. I think it's a good way, a competitive way, and not in a gaming sense. Just a competitive way to create different paced cars in the field.
All right, Dustin, go ahead.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jimmie, so much has been tried to make this event, special event. Is the tires, is there still a future here with this, or is this sport starting to look at making bigger and bolder decisions? Is it start to be a time to look at a venue change, or are there more things that can be done here to further enhance the racing?
Yeah, there's no doubt that mile-and-a-half racing puts on a certain type of show. There's some that argue, line us up at Bristol for an all-star race and we'll have the wildest night of racing you've ever seen in your life, or Richmond, something like that. I've had so much success here. I love being at home. I'm really torn on where to go with it, and I think that Charlotte Motor Speedway works as hard as they possibly can to put on a great show. They're open-minded to any and every idea. But mile-and-a-halfs do put on a certain style of racing. So I don't mind whichever direction it goes. I think I'd be sad to see it go because I've won so many all-star races here, and I would naturally want to pick one of my best tracks to have it go to and be selfish. So I think the all-star race should move to Dover, and it'd be a great night.
All right, go ahead, Caleb.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. So we knew the tires were good on short runs from like 6 to 8 laps, but how are they on a long run from 10 to 15 laps?
They weren't bad. I mean, the trend of handling for my car was the same on the yellows versus the greens. I didn't see a huge shift in trends over the run and balance change, so it just had a bit more grip and went faster for a short period of time, and then I think ended up in the same spot as the yellows did.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Did you guys go with the optional tires in the second stage with the idea that you could catch Larson, or were you trying to set yourself up in a better spot for the third stage?
All of our discussions before the race were to put him on in the third stage. And then I left pit road, and about a lap after riding around, Chad said I was on my greens in the second stage. I thought, okay. So I don't know what the thought process was. I think knowing a few cars started on greens, Chad just wanted to strike first and get some track position and get some finishing positions in the bank in a sense, just to increase our chances at a top 10 average and get us up front. So it worked out well, and I was able to hold off a couple guys on greens in the third segment to win that stage, so it played out just right.
All right, Jacob, go ahead, and then we'll come up front.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. In the back, Jimmie. Going back to the tires a little bit and kind of following up from what you said about saying that you felt like there could be a future. Tonight it seemed like there was a difference where you could get that few laps of the extra speed, but that the prime tires, it didn't seem like there was enough of a difference between the two to really make it racy for a longer period. Is that something that you think maybe Goodyear could look into, especially in a night race situation where there is so much more grip already in the track?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for their first attempt, I would just have to imagine that they were trying to be very smart and intentional with what they did and how they went about it. And to not have any failures or any big issues tonight, I think a commitment. They deserve to be commended on that. And sure, if they had another shot at it, I'm confident they would have ideas to do more. But the one thing I don't want to overshadow, and we're always looking to make things exciting, we all run the same speed. The rule book is so thick, and the cars are so equal. We run the same speed, and you can't pass running the same speed. It's just the bottom line. So pit road's so important. The short run when the tires are cool and how the car acts and behaves in 2 to 3 laps, that's where the race is won and lost now. It's just the environment that we're in, and it's a credit to the garage area being so smart, and not in a negative sense, but the damn rule book's too thick. There's too much going on. We're all running the same speed.
All right, go ahead up front.
Jimmie, Pete McCall with AutoRacing1.com. Part of the hype leading up to this race was that NASCAR was hoping a lot of drivers would take those option tires in the last segment and start in the back, work their way up to the front. Why is it that, I know your strategy was not to take the option tires in the last segment, but no one took option tires in the last segment. So was there no advantage at all to taking them in the last segment? Do you think that everyone was just as equal with the prime tires as they were with the option tires in the final 10 laps?
Yeah, it's really a numbers game, and I think that all the crew chiefs, especially Chad, noticed, and this is all just speculation, but there were 3 cars that started on the greens, and if they marched their way up to the front, it would have been really easy for everybody to wait, because starting in the back on greens for a 10-lap shootout, there's no way, So they watched the progression of that. Then I think we were on the aggressive side and put ours on. We went from 4th to 2nd. We made up 2 spots. So as everybody looked at that and that you could only get a couple spots out of it, I think it was pretty easy for teams to decide to put them on in the 3rd and then just worry about track position for that 4th segment. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take 2 final questions for Jimmie and let him go before we start with Kyle. We're going to go to Bob and then end with Dustin. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Obviously, Dale Jr. didn't have a good night, and he said he was concerned. What do you do, considering you guys are both kind of in the same shop, to either pick them up or help them out?
I don't have a clue how they did or what even went on, so I don't know yet. But we'll do anything we can, obviously, to help those guys. Yeah, we'll do anything we can. I know we were trying some stuff, and I'm not sure I'm in love with everything we did this weekend, but we're definitely trying some stuff.
All right, our final question from Jimmie from Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jimmie, you made the reference about the rule book being so thick. So a lot of people talk about fans about a run what you brung. That's probably too extreme, but is there something else that can be done in light of that for this event then, as opposed to, what we were talking about earlier with the venue changes? Is something more about loosening up the rule book, and how might that be done in a reasonable way, where there's still some balance and fairness for everybody involved?
Yeah, I'm like everybody else that is involved in this sport. I have an opinion, but I don't have the answer. So I just know that when you look at qualifying and you look at the cars on the track, we want parity. We want the manufacturers to all have the same opportunity to go fast, and these teams all build the same stuff, and we all sit there and run the same speed. I mean, it makes sense. We all have access to the same stuff. So I don't have the answer. I guess I say that in trying to not say that it's the track's fault or something that's going on here. Mile and a half racing is mile and a half racing. It's kind of that way. And when all the cars are qualifying as tight as they do, and we can't pass as easily as anybody would like to see, we just have to logically look at it and say, hey, they're all going the same speed. No wonder they can't pass. Yep.
All right, Jimmie, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. All right, we've now been joined by our second place finisher, driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet, Kyle Larson. And Kyle, we know your feelings of finishing second, but I know tonight is a night you definitely don't want to finish second knowing you could have won $1 million. So talk to us a little bit about your run and those final 10 laps.
I saw an interview Donnie Schatz did last night, and they said, oh, second's good. But no, he said second sucks ass. And today it sucks ass. So, yeah, that sucks. But we had a dominant car all race. We just, initially I thought our pit crew struggled that last stop, but our jack post on the right side broke off at some point throughout the race, so the jack man had to make a couple more pumps to get the car up, and it just slowed the stop down enough that we got beat off pit road by 3 cars. So that was kind of the difference in the race for us, and had a lot of speed, restarted 5th, and was able to get by Jimmie there that last lap and get to 2nd. So thought we had a great shot at winning the All-Star race, but didn't work out that way.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Kyle. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. We'll start up front, and we'll go to the back for Jacob.
Dan McFadden with NBC Sports. When it came to using the option tire, did you guys have a plan before the race about when you might use it? Did it change at all within the course of the race? And also, what are your thoughts on racing in the All-Star race for a second year? How would you compare this run to last year?
So the option tire, I feel like our strategy going into it was going to be to save it for the final segment, but when you saw a few people start to use it early in the race, you kind of have to change up your game plan there. And then after that first run, when Jimmie couldn't catch me on the option tire, I was hoping that we were going to put him on for the next segment, and that segment was a lot of fun. We had cars that had taken 2 option tires and not option tires. The racing was really good, and then there for that final segment, we all had used up our green tires and went and added on the normal ones. So I think the option tire was a really good thing. I think in the future maybe they could bring a tire that has even more grip and more of a speed and lap time difference to that we can visually kind of see that there is a difference. But I thought it was good, and I don't remember your other question. Oh, yeah. So last year was exciting, with the Open or the Showdown, whatever they called it back then. Beating and banging with Chase to make it in, and then my crew having to work really hard to repair that car, and then not really expecting to be that fast in the All-Star race, but we almost won. So that was awesome. Probably a little more heartbroken last year than this year, but this year was nice to be able to watch those, the Open, I think it's the Open in my motorhome, and then dominate the first 2 stages. The third one we were really good, and then our issues kind of evolved right there, and I got going really, really good that last run. I just didn't have enough laps.
All right, go ahead, Jacob. We'll go to Joe next. Go ahead.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. Kyle, you mentioned just now you got going really good at the end of the last sprint, and the high line and slide job, is that high lane where you're so good at so many of these mile and a halves? You wish you could have found that maybe sooner or gone up top sooner in that final 10 laps? Would it have made a difference?
No, I don't think it would have made a difference. Maybe if anything, if I would have got going fast even earlier, Jimmie would have just moved up in front of me and tried to catch the 18. So I think it would have just probably hurt me in the end. But yeah, it's 10 laps is fun and exciting. It's just not enough time to make any ground. I was able to start making ground there the last couple laps, and I slid Jimmie into 3 there on the last lap, and he was a little upset with me after the race. But it's a race that pays no points, and you never know what can happen in these things. You never know if Kyle would have blown a tire or blown an engine, or I just want to be in position to be the winner, be second to capitalize if he ran into any issues. So that was I was running extremely hard there the last few laps, just trying to do anything I could.
All right, go ahead,
Joe
Joe.
Menzer, FoxSports.com. Kyle, this has often been debated in the past, but would you like to see the All-Star race possibly moved to different venues, moved around to different style tracks?
Yeah, for sure. I think you look at other sports and their All-Star games switch venues all the time. It's the same game, but so it doesn't really make a difference other than the venue. But for us, I think it's really cool to change the venue. I don't know if racetracks could bid on the All-Star race or bid on the final race of the season, but I think that'd be really cool, and it would open up different fan bases to come see a big event. You're not going to get many people from the West Coast to fly out here for the All-Star race, I don't think, or whatever. So it'd be cool to have like a All-Star race in Fontana or Vegas or Sonoma. I mean, road courses, anywhere. It'd be cool just to switch it up every year. I think you get more fans that kind of come to it, and kind of makes the race more exciting again.
All right, we're going to come up front, go to Jenna, Caleb, and then back to Bob. Go ahead.
Jennifer, Kyle, nobody had anything for you the first 2 segments. I understand what happened on pit road, but should you have been the winner of this race tonight?
No, I don't think I should have been the winner. I think we had the car to be the winner. It's just racing. Bad pits. I'm not even going to call it a bad pit stop anymore because of our issues. But when you run into bad luck or problems like that, you don't win the race, and you got to be perfect to win a Cup race. Even an Xfinity race, you have to be perfect, especially Cup race though. And tonight we just weren't 100% perfect. We were almost there, and we'll get better and try and win again next year.
Was it in your mind? Was it whoever is the leader on that restart, whoever gets that restart is the winner?
Yeah. For sure. In those 20-lap runs, I didn't think my balance really changed or my lap time dropped off too much, until we got past 10 laps. So I knew being the leader of pit road was going to be the big thing. And when I could tell that the rear changer wasn't around nearly as fast as the front, I knew we were in trouble. I'm surprised that the 18 and the 11 beat me up pit road because my nose was definitely in front of the 11 the whole way down pit road, I thought. But obviously it wasn't. So, it's disappointing.
All right, Caleb, go ahead.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. We knew the option tires were good on the short runs, about 6 to 8 laps, but how are they on a long run of like 10 to 15 laps?
It's hard to really give an answer to that because the run that I was the leader and Jimmie was on the options, I felt like he closed on me, like you said, to about the 6 to 8 lap mark, and then I started pulling back away. And then the run that I was on the green tire, there was a lot of us on the green tire, so I was kind of at the speed that they were at, but we were catching Jimmie, who was on the regular tire. So I don't know, everybody's cars drive differently and stuff. So I felt like the handling of it stayed pretty good though throughout the 20 laps. I don't know how the lap time looked because I was battling people, so I wasn't really looking at my dash to see what I was running. But so I don't know.
All right, we're going to go to Bob and then Daniel. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. We all know about Aero Push and leader gets, we've seen leaders kind of run away here, but were you even surprised surprised that you were able to just kind of dominate the first 40 laps like you did?
I wasn't surprised. Our race cars have been really fast this year. I wasn't really surprised that I didn't get back to the lead. Well, I guess I am surprised I didn't get to the lead when I had the option tire on. I just got a bad restart and got kind of split. Yeah, you know, dirty air, my balance was definitely tighter on exit in dirty air. I was having to, you know, when I was out in front by myself, I would never have to come all the way out of the throttle. But when I was in traffic, I definitely had to come all the way out to help my car turn. So, you know, dirty air is, like Jimmie said, you're always going to have dirty air on mile and a half, so you're never going to get rid of that. You know, maybe there's ways that you make it better. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but it's just mile and a half racing, and I enjoy it. You know, even Donnie Schatz, and go back to his interview last night, he said he enjoys dirty air. It just adds an element, and you know, it's just something you got to work through, and you got to become a better driver and finding clean air, and you know, just doing a good job with it.
All right, Daniel, go ahead.
So how exactly did Jimmie Johnson show his displeasure with you after the race, and how often has something like that happened so far in your Cup career?
Oh, I mean, he just had his hand out the window, like, what are you doing? But no big deal, really. You know, I always race hard with Jimmie, and you know, I expect the same from him. Jimmie is, to me, the greatest driver of all time. So anytime I can race hard with him and pass him and do it without getting into him, I'm proud of that. And we didn't touch tonight, and yeah, so it was fun. I know, like, he probably looks at it as there's no reason to pass him. You know, we weren't going to win, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So I just wanted to be running second if something was to happen. So, oh well.
All right. Any final questions from Kyle? Any questions in the press box? All right, Kyle, we appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue into our post-race media availability for the Monster Energy All-Star Race. We've now been joined by our race-winning crew chief of the number 18, which is Adam Stevens. And Adam, we'll go ahead and just start with you a little bit on just the strategy of the night. I know tonight was a big win. Kyle's never won here at Charlotte in a Monster Energy race, so I know that he showed a lot of excitement at the end of the race, but just tell us a little bit of what that vantage point was like from your seat tonight.
Yeah, you know, the big unknown coming into this deal was the option set of tires and how that was going to affect the race. And obviously, most of us put them on in practice to get a read on the speed difference, and for some teams it was bigger and some teams it was smaller, and it just didn't seem to be as big with our car and our setup as it was with other teams. And that was with the track temperatures up, and as it cooled off tonight, it seemed like that discrepancy was a little bit less. So it was really a game to see who was going to put them on and if it was going to improve their position and who was going to save them and restart behind the other guys for the shootout at the end.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Adam. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. All right, any questions for Adam? Okay, we'll start with Bob.
Are you surprised, Bob Piper, ESPN, are you surprised at all that this race where there was so much talk about tires really pretty much came down to pit stops?
Am I surprised? A little bit, you know. Like I mentioned, there was a fair amount of speed difference, lap time difference in between the sets in practice. But everybody's cars weren't dialed in yet, and the track temps was way up. So as it cooled off, it seemed like the discrepancy just got smaller and smaller, and the groove didn't open up very much. You know, guys that tried to move up to the middle or the top, there just wasn't the grip up there that there was on the bottom. So you really couldn't race 2-3 wide as much as maybe you can after, you know, halfway on a long race here. So it comes down to track position at that point, and you had to have good pit stops to get out front.
All right, additional questions for Adam? Okay, we'll start with Joe in the back.
Joe Menzer, FoxSports.com. Adam, as good as Kyle is, why do you think it took so long for him to win in a Cup car here at Charlotte?
I have no earthly idea. This place is tough. This place changes probably more with track temperature than about any place we go. And it doesn't necessarily reward driving hard. Maybe it does certain times of the day, or certain laps on your tires, or certain aero packages that we bring here, or certain tire combinations, and sometimes it doesn't. So you really have to move around, and you really have to change the way that you drive the car. Kyle's gotten better and better at that through the years, obviously, and now I would say he's probably one of the best. But you have to catch the setup up to that too. And I think years past, at least him and I, we just haven't had the setup, a winning setup here. We've been fast on occasion, but to put that together for a whole race is tough. You know, another wrench in the works too is we generally practice in the heat of the day and don't always race in those conditions. So I think it's just a matter of time of him figuring it out, and no different than Kansas and some of these other places he's struggled at in the past. But wouldn't say here's been a struggle, but it's just been hard to finish it off. And hopefully this is a little bit of momentum, a little bit of wind in our sails, and something we can build on for next week.
All right. Additional questions for Adam? All right, we'll go to Jenna.
Adam, what do you think that Kyle saw in that restart? What made him kind of go low like that, and what did you think of it?
Well, I haven't seen a replay from his vantage point, but obviously the 2 was on old tires, and he knew he wasn't going to have the momentum down into 1 that the rest of us on tires were going to have. I don't know if he spun him a little. It looked like he got rolling okay, but to keep up with the rest of us, he was going to have to drive it in pretty deep. So I was pretty surprised that Kyle was able to find a car width underneath him as soon as he did, without going too much in the grass. I think he hung a tire over there, but he didn't have to drive through it. I wasn't seeing that one coming. You know, I wouldn't take anybody else but Kyle Busch on a restart if I had my choice.
All right, Jerry, go ahead.
Jerry Jordan, KickTires.net and PRN. With the option tire tonight, if NASCAR and Goodyear decide to do something similar to this in the future, how much of a in points races, how much of a strategy issue, how much trouble would you have as a crew chief trying to make those calls? What would you have to do to use a tire like this in the race?
Well, it's just all about experience and practicing on it and seeing what the grip difference is, and assessing how many lanes there are on the racetrack, and can you pass people, and how important track position is. It's all the steps we went through this week, but like I said, we practiced in the day and raced at night, and it seemed like that discrepancy closed up a little bit. So I don't know if they will do that on points races. It's certainly possible, I guess.
All right, we've now been joined by our race winner, driver of the number 18 M&M's Carmel Toyota, Kyle Busch, and the race-winning team owner, Joe Gibbs. And Coach Gibbs, we'll start with you. It's always nice to win a race, but I know it's especially nice to win a race when they're giving away $1 million. So talk about taking home that big win tonight for your team.
Well, we've had such a tough time this year, and I told everybody I forgot where winner's circle was here. It's been so long since we won a race. No, it's a huge deal. I would say on this race, this has probably been the hardest race that we've run in 25 years. We've won twice. That's it. And this couldn't come at a better time for us. As we all know, we've got off to a slow start. Huge deal for all of us. Everybody that works back at the shop, JD, the front office, everybody over there, then everybody working on the cars, our engineering group, everybody. It's a total victory for us. We had a meeting last week, and we talked about, you know, all of us sticking together, how hard to work and go after it, and appreciate Kyle and Adam and our pit crew, everybody tonight. Really did a great job. It's hard to win this race. We're a good example of how hard it is.
And Kyle, we talked last night before you left here about how much it would win for you to finally be able to win a race here at Charlotte in the Monster Energy Series. You did take home the All-Star win tonight. So just talk about a little bit about those final 10 laps and just what it means to come home the race winner.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot, you know, first of all, to finally win at Charlotte for one, and then to win the All-Star race. It's an exciting race, and this race was kind of born off of exciting events that were in the race and bold moves and things like that, and we did one of those tonight to win the race. And so, you know, thirdly, taking home $1 million, that's not such a bad payday, so I know Joe gets to keep most of it, so you know, that's always good for the owner, but more importantly, just to get the team into victory lane here finally. And my guys have been with me for a long, long time, and I'm sure they feel the same goose egg that I do. And it's extra special to finally get rid of that. But man, just a good night for us overall. We were second and second again, third, something like that, third I think. And then the third segment kind of got crazy for us. We kind of got shifted out of line a little bit and lost our momentum a little bit with some of those slower guys in front of us. So we lost some spots in that segment, but still had a third average, and we were able to come down pit road. My guys gave me a great pit stop that got us out where we needed to be in prime position, I guess. I thought Jimmie was actually in prime position, but we got a really good restart there and made a bold move on Brad. I knew to just tuck out as soon as I could if I got that run on him, and I did. And he left me just enough room there before the second kink in order to get my car through there. And once I heard clear in turn one, I was looking in my mirror to make sure the 48 didn't have a run on the top side and to get up in front of him and to just kind of set sail from there. So we didn't quite have the fastest car on a short run, but I felt like our long run speed was just as good as most. So that certainly helped us when the race kind of got to its closing laps there, when we were able to just kind of inch away.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take questions for Kyle, Adam, or Coach Gibbs. We're going to start with Jenna, and then I'll take everyone else as I get you.
Kyle, you've mentioned, I think twice, that you thought that was a bold move. I asked Adam about that restart. From your vantage point, what did you see, and how low did you know that you could get away with going?
I just basically, concentrated on getting a good launch for myself. I wasn't really worried about how well of a launch Brad was going to get, but he surprised me, actually. He got a better launch than I expected him to. But once we got to start-finish, I started kind of closing the gap on him and knew I needed to cut out as soon as I could and make a move. And Brad had one of two options: either block me low and leave me the middle, or block the middle and leave me the low side. And so I had just enough room there on the bottom that I got through there. And you're always susceptible to getting close to the grass or running in the grass when a guy in front of you wants to block a little bit. But once I got alongside, he was smart enough to know soon enough that I was there and gave me that room. So, it was pretty cool once I got that opportunity to get there. I knew it was going to be now or never, and take advantage of the opportunity when it presented itself.
You mentioned several times that this event is based on memorable moments. Do you think that qualifies, that was a bold, ballsy move by you?
I think my move here a few years ago was probably a little bit more crazy when I was restarted fourth and got through the middle of the front row, and I don't remember what happened after that. I probably wrecked, but that's most times what I do in this race. But I think I went between Jeff Gordon and somebody else, and it was kind of a three-wide thing, and I thought that was exciting, but it wasn't a winning move, so tonight's kind of was. I could have just sat there in line. I could have pushed Brad, and I could have faded in the corner and watched the outside lane go by. So, you kind of got to do what you got to do. Maybe it's not one of the top 5 moments, but, top 10 maybe, 15 probably.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Kyle Larson looked so dominant for the first 40 laps, but he was also on the pole and got good restarts. Did you feel like, hey, if I get out front, I'm going to be just as dominant?
No, I didn't feel that way. Like I said, I didn't feel like our car was quite as strong as we needed it to be on the short run. So Larson was really fast on the short run. He could really buzz out there for about 8 or 10 laps, and then it sort of stayed the same gap from there. I felt like, anyway. Maybe he still was a little faster, but the way I kind of saw it there in stage 3 when we were on the soft compounds is everybody was kind of coming back to us, even though we were on the softer ones and they were supposed to fade. I felt like our car stayed longer, and we had a better long run car. Those guys were kind of coming back to me just a little bit. It's just so tough here at Charlotte. The groove is right around the bottom of the racetrack. There really isn't a middle, unfortunately, and I'm not sure why. The track is there's room there for a middle and a top, but it just doesn't work. There's just not enough speed to prevail in some of those different grooves in order to make any time.
All right, we're going to go Mike and then Monty. Mike, go ahead.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Kyle, you mentioned a now or never move. Did you feel like if you did not make the pass then that you wouldn't have another really good shot the rest of the way?
Oh, yeah, for sure. No question. It just seemed like that was kind of the theme of the night, that once a guy kind of got out front, that was it, So it's frustrating and it's unfortunate. Come here, buddy. That we didn't see a whole lot of passes for the lead in green flag conditions, but, that's some of Charlotte and that's some of what we got. Come here. Hi, you want to talk? Ball. Who won tonight? Who won? Who won the race? Dad wins all the races though, so don't be too amused. You want to come up here?
All right.
You want to
Monty,
sit?
go ahead.
You want to sit? He doesn't like to sit either.
Monty Dutton, CompetitionPlus.com.
Where you at?
When you
There.
won 15 races in 2 other series, and not in this one. Now, sometimes is that anything but a strange coincidence?
About what?
The fact that you have been so successful in 2 series
Oh, yeah.
and unsuccessful in the other one. I mean, is there anything other than just the fact it's the damnedest thing you've ever heard?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of the way I felt about it, for a long, long time. It was just very, very frustrating to be that good in Xfinity and to be that good in the Truck Series here. I mean, yeah, you can talk about competition and all the rest of that stuff, but when you race against 8 or 10 other Cup guys in the Xfinity Series and you win that many times here, you know that you can do it because you're racing against the same guys that you're going to be racing against on Sunday, but the Sunday car just never is put together the whole way that it needs to be, and you just never get to victory lane. So, finally we're able to kind of close the chapter on that one. Now it's time, I guess, to go get a points win here.
All right. Let's see. Where's my microphones?
He loves his dad.
Okay. Let's start with Jerry over here. Then we'll get to Joe. Go ahead.
But then he gets here and wants mom.
Kyle, Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN up here. When you got out of the truck a while ago, or got out of the car a while ago, lots of cheers for you to winning this race, believe it or not. And does that surprise you at all? And how does it make you feel?
They're happy I finally won a Cup race. And not winning in a truck or an Xfinity car. So I don't know. Certainly maybe they're just excited because they knew how excited I was and that they've never seen me win a Cup race here. So it was a first-time winner for them essentially, if you think about it that way. So they were pretty excited about seeing somebody else in victory lane here at Charlotte, other than I don't know who's won here the most, Jimmie Johnson and who other else. So mostly
All
just
right.
Jimmie. Yeah.
Joe, go ahead.
Maybe they're happy that I just beat Jimmie. He finished second, and he didn't get another $1 million, right?
Menzer, okay.
There you go. Now you're ready.
I need to blow anybody's eardrums out. Joe Menzer, FoxSports.com. For Joe Gibbs, Coach, can you believe that he had never won a Cup race here? And Kyle, now that you have won this Cup event, what would it mean to win a points race here in a Cup car?
Tell you the truth, I thought he had won here. I'm so used to him winning races, and so I know this is a huge deal for him.
Joe.
No, I'm telling you, I think we feel like Kyle can win anywhere, and certainly this year he's really been in position a bunch in the top 5 at the end of races, not been able to win one, but I think it tells you how hard this sport is. I think a lot of people improved in the off season. We're off a little bit, and man, it makes it hard. So it tells you how hard pro sports, the best people in the world are doing this, and I know it's a thrill for him. Thrill for us, obviously. Big deal, and I mentioned how hard this race is to win, so really proud of all of our people.
All right.
Questions, what would it mean to win a points race? It would mean a lot still. It would certainly kind of, I guess, close the next chapter, as I said a little earlier, about just, getting that next victory here, and hopefully we can sweep it. It'd be nice to be added to that list of drivers that have been able to do that. We've got a little bit of work to do in order to get ourselves in that position to be able to do that. And 600 miles is a long race, and starts in the day, ends at night, so there's a lot of things that can happen in that race. But, certainly it's probably a heck of a lot more fun to do it the way Martin Truex did last year, but I mean, if we have another one of those, it'd be a bad thing. So hopefully we can just lead the last lap, the one that matters most, and score that points win here.
All right. Caleb, go ahead.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. Kyle, with the complexion of this race has changed whenever people were on the option tire, if the segments were more than 20 laps, say like 40 or 50 laps, how would that change in your opinion?
I don't know. It's interesting because I saw a couple guys kind of faded on the option tire, and then our car actually kind of kept going and was pretty fast on the long run with the option tire. So I was a fan of it. I thought that it was pretty good, pretty fun, and gave my car a better sense of feel that I was looking for throughout that run that we had it on the car. We weren't quite able to make the powerful moves that maybe some of the other guys did on that tire there to fire off in that third segment, but our car kind of stayed with us maybe a little bit better. You know, it would be interesting. I heard Adam talking about it when I got in here, if they would, you know, utilize that option at points events and throughout different races and whatever, and let us kind of have maybe 1 or 2 sets and use them when we wanted to or whatnot. But, you know, that's for down the road. So we'll see.
All right. Any final questions? Okay, we'll take one final question in the back with Jacob.
I want to follow up on tires with Kyle first real quick. You know, I heard you talking about tires, and I asked Kyle and Jimmie about this earlier, that maybe the difference between the primes and the options wasn't quite what it could have been to put on a better show. Thoughts on maybe Goodyear exploring a little bit different compound to give the options more speed compared to the prime tires? Because it seemed like tonight with the extra grip, the cooler temperatures, it just didn't make as much of a difference.
Yes, that's correct. I would agree with that assessment that you know, there's a chance that we could probably go a little bit softer and utilize a little bit more grip in order to be faster, have more split between the 2 tires. As you mentioned, it seemed like as the nighttime kind of progressed there that the tires equalized more than maybe some would have hoped for. But it was just a guess. They didn't necessarily pull a tire test here, so I thought they did a good job testing, and they tried to make sure they were on the safe side in order to have a good tire here that would last, and all that's fine. So, you know, we ran both in practice, and we saw a little bit of speed difference, but probably not as much as what the advertised split was going to be.
And Adam, out of curiosity, donuts to the right?
He's talking to me? Or
Yeah, he's talking to you.
Oh. Yeah, donuts to the right.
I never even heard that.
All right, well, on that note, congratulations, guys, and we will wish you guys the best of luck
Put them on the right side of the dash, right?
next weekend as well.
Hey, want to say a big thanks to our partners, Toyota. Huge deal for them. Been a while since we won one. Appreciate their partnership. Norm Miller at Interstate Batteries, also our founding sponsors. A big deal for us. He's watching in Dallas. Want to say a big thanks.